All right, stop the music, Look, right off the bat, I've got a soapbox here for a second. I don't agree where the committee's got the rankings this week, with Oklahoma or with Baylor. And I know I said a couple weeks ago that this was all about getting your blood pressure up high and everybody's freaking out for no reason and that these rankings don't matter. Right now, what matters is what happens at the end of the season. But I really don't agree where the committee's got the Sooners. Hear me out here. Oklahoma is behind Penn State. Fine, okay. The Nittany Lions, you've got Ohio State this week. We'll see what shakes out of that. But then there's Oregon and Utah. Utah hasn't beaten a ranked team this year. The only one that they have on their schedule is USC, and the Trojans won that game. Also, Utah's 6-1 in conference play, just like Oklahoma and Baylor is, but 4 of Utah's 6 wins in conference play against teams with losing records in conference play. The Pac-12 top to bottom is not as strong as the Big 12. I think that's clear, but Utah's given an edge in the rankings for whatever reason. Also, Alabama, they've played one ranked team this year, and they lost at home to that team, yet they're also still up there at number 5. And who do they have this week? Western Carolina. I know I can't change it. I know that I can complain about it. I have, and now I'm done. We'll start with Oklahoma. Fresh off that comeback win for the ages in Waco, the Sooners allowed 0 second half points and overcame incredible odds after the way they played in the first half to beat Baylor. Now they've got to turn their attention to TCU, a team that's been trouble for most this year. OU can clinch a spot in the Big 12 title game with a win on Saturday or an Oklahoma State loss. The Cowboys travel up to Morgantown. This week's game features the league's top offense against the top defense. Oklahoma is putting up 581 yards a game, while TCU is only giving up 328 a game. And obviously, if you're Oklahoma, starting slow like they did against Baylor isn't something they want to repeat this week. Oklahoma's defense has given up points over the last few weeks, way more than they had over the first 7 games. Everybody's seen that. But that doesn't change how much better the defense overall has been this season compared to years past. Oklahoma ranks 36 in the country in total defense through 10 games. Last year, the Sooners were 114th in the FBS. And if we're looking at conference games only here, OU actually leads the league in total defense and pass defense. Now, a huge part of that has been the play of the defensive line and really that front 7 led by Kenneth Murray. K9 told me back in July that he expected big things from Neville Gallimore this year, but the attention big number 90 is getting has allowed other players to step up and make plays all around him.
You know, Neville's really gotten a lot of attention inside, and that's created some opportunities on the edges for a lot of one-on-ones with our guys, and our guys have got to be able to win those, and Ronnie was able to win his fair share the other night. So that's he's definitely evolved and growing as a player. He's starting, I feel like, to take some of those steps of you flashed some as a freshman, and he did a lot of good things, but starting to certainly become a more consistent player.
TCU bounced back from a pair of 1-score losses. Yes, I did the math correctly this week, okay? Pulled out a tough, hard-fought win in Lubbock over those Red Raiders. Freshman quarterback Max Duggan had a career day, racking up nearly 400 yards of total offense. 75 of those yards came on the ground. Duggan has also thrown for a touchdown pass in 9 of the Frogs' last 10 games. With Duggan's ability to scramble around, things have really opened up in that TCU offense as of late because you've got to account for him taking off in a moment's notice. He's averaging nearly 80 rushing yards a game in his last 5 games. We've also seen his downfield success increase as well. Head coach Gary Patterson has never actually had a true freshman throw the ball like this, and that includes Frogs legend Andy Dalton. Should be a great game in Norman, 7 p.m. on Fox. Also want to talk a little Texas and Baylor. The Bears nearly picked up a signature win last weekend. Now it's all about turning the page and focusing on a Texas team that also came up just short a week ago. The Baylor defense played their tails off as they've done all year, especially there in the first half, but they just weren't able to get things done. Guys like Graylin Arnold, Blake Lynch, James Lynch, this team has gotten it done all year, and if you're Baylor, one loss should not derail that train. And how about the play of TERREL Bernard? Stepping in for Clay Johnston at middle linebacker, this dude has been fantastic, averaging 13 tackles a game over his last 4, and that includes 15 tackles against Oklahoma, with a tackle for loss, a sack, and a fumble recovery mixed in there as well. He'll certainly be hungry to get after a Texas offense that did struggle to run the ball last week. Iowa State's got a great defense, and the Horns were nearly able to get it done against the Cyclones. Devin Duvernay leads the Big 12 in catches by a mile and in receiving yards. Sounds like a Biletnikoff semifinalist, right? Well, apparently not, as Duvernay was left off of that list this week, which frankly to me is ridiculous. He's 8th in the country in receiving yards and 2nd in total receptions. It doesn't make sense. Devin is without a doubt one of the top receivers in the country. Regardless of what we think about all that, great game set to go in Waco, 2:30 p.m. on FS1. And I want to touch on West Virginia here for just a minute. The Mountaineers finally put a stop to the bleeding and not only picked up its first win in 5 games, but they did it on the road against a top 25 Kansas State team with their backup quarterback. Jarret Doege was great for West Virginia, 20 for 30 for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first start of the year. He's a Lubbock native. His older brother actually played for head coach Neil Brown at Texas Tech many moons ago, and he's got West Virginia in a position where winning the Mountaineers' last 2 games would get WVU into a bowl game. And as an added bonus, Coach Brown could redshirt the junior quarterback if situations dictated that. Big game against Oklahoma State on Saturday. The Cowboys will now be without starting quarterback Spencer Sanders. Remember, they lost Tylan Wallace earlier this year. Spencer is out for the remainder of the year after thumb surgery this week. That means Hawaii transfer Drew Brown will take over the reins. Brown knows what he's doing, though. This dude threw for like 5,000 yards in 2 seasons at Hawaii. Good games all around set to go in the Big 12 this weekend. That one kicks at 11 a.m. Now, as we always do, let's finish things off with top plays.
10-7. Our score. Shante Jones in motion. Purdy under pressure. Spins out and throws. He's got a man wide open. Got him. Shante Jones. And they're not going to catch him. Touchdown. Iowa State right out of the gate. 75 yards.
For Jeffers coming into this one. Duggan looking to throw here. Steps up in the pocket. Fires down the middle. Has a man. Pass is caught. Rager, touchdown, TCU, 55 yards.
Once again for West Virginia. Doege just got rid of it in time, wide open. Room service, touchdown. Wheaton, they turned him loose. Seconds left on the clock for the win. In those veins, Iowa State finally wins a close one. From a salad. No problem for the freshman. Still perfect on the season, and Oklahoma is in. Back in coverage. Brewer almost bobbled the snap. Now fires, and this one is intercepted. Given a second chance, Bonito makes the pick, and a takeaway of all things is going to seal a massive comeback victory for Oklahoma.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening to my soapbox at the beginning there. We'll see you next weekend for another episode of Big 12 Big Football. Enjoy your weekend.